tumulong. I will be the one to discuss to you assisted vaginal delivery instead of Dr. Quevedo. So let me share my screen. Do you see my screen already, mga anak? Yeah, okay. Actually, this is in your Moodle. Okay. So there are two routes of delivery. One is vaginal, the second is abdominal, which is cesarean section. Of the vaginal delivery, there are two types. One is spontaneous vaginal delivery, so that means the mother does not need any outside help from the clinician to effect vaginal delivery. And the second is through the use of instruments like your forceps, which is the one flashed before you. The forceps is the metal instrument, and the vacuum. So we call this operative vaginal delivery or assisted vaginal delivery. The outline of the lecture will start with incidents and indications, classification and prerequisites, technique of forceps and vacuum delivery, though for me, hindi nyo masyadong kailangan to. And complications. By the way, if you have any questions, just post them in the chat box kasi baka makalimutan ninyo. So we can, we can discuss this later. So, wait. Okay, incidents and indications. So, incidents. So, according to the Philippine OBGYN Society in 2020, live births, of the live births, 2% of the live births are through assisted vaginal delivery. As you can see, of course, we are happy it's 61% for spontaneous vaginal delivery. Pero the rate for cesarean section is actually quite high, no? Yung breech, mga anak, I think this is breech vaginal delivery. Okay, so we are talking about this because, if you have the option for delivery, if you have an indication to intervene, is either assisted or cesarean section. So if you have an indication to intervene, the clinician or you will choose, do I deliver this through forceps or vacuum, or should I deliver through cesarean section? So, indication. So before we apply these instruments, we should have a clear-cut indication. So we do not just apply because we want to train our residents. As you can see later, one of the prerequisites for the use of these instruments will be expertise of the operator. No? Okay. So of course, in obstetrics, we have two patients. We have fetal indications. So the two indications are just grouped into two. This is premature separation of the placenta and a non-reassuring fetal heart rate pattern. More commonly, a non-reassuring fetal heart rate pattern in the second stage of labor. For maternal indications, they are flashed before you, but the most common indication that we perform assisted vaginal delivery are the ones highlighted. So maternal exhaustion or a prolonged second stage of labor. So why are we talking about indications for assisted vaginal delivery? Because we should at least, before we decide if we are going to wait for spontaneous delivery versus intervening through surgery or operation. No? So be it operative vaginal or a cesarean section, we should have an indication to intervene, diba? After we intervene, then we looked at the prerequisites. So, dapat alam muna natin na kailangan, hindi na ito lalabas ng vaginal. No? So, may gagawin na akong ibang paraan. Everybody speaks Tagalog or Filipino? Yeah. Okay. So, after you have an clear-cut indication for assisted vaginal delivery, then we try to ascertain the risk. So, why risk for both the mother and the fetus? And that's when the classification of assisted vaginal delivery comes in. It has been said that the fetal head station and degree of fetal rotation are the major determinants of risk in the use of forceps or vacuum. So therefore, that means that if you have a higher fetal head station and a greater degree of rotation of the fetal head, then you will have a higher maternal and neonatal risk. So, sorry, hindi siya nagpe-play. Okay. So, naalala niyo pa yung fetal head station, wherein, when the fetal head is at the level of the ischial spines. Ano yun, mga anak? Anybody? Nakalimutan niyo na. Nobody? Station? Yes, station 0, when the head is at the level of the ischial spines. If it is +1, that means that the head is, the foremost presenting part is 1 cm below the ischial spines, +2, 2 cm below the ischial spines, and so on. +5, diba, divided by fifths, diba, in fifths. Tapos pag -1, 1 cm above the ischial spines, so and so forth. When we say fetal head position, for cephalic presenting fetuses, our determinant will be the posterior fontanelle, occiput, diba? So we want an occiput anterior position. So here, nakikita niyo yung arrow ko, mga anak. This, nakikita? So this one is the symphysis pubis, the one under is the sacrum. So better if the occiput or the posterior fontanelle is under the symphysis pubis. If it is directly under, then that is occiput anterior. If the occiput is anteriorly located but in the oblique position, so left or right, then that means left occiput anterior or right occiput anterior. Why do we want this? We want a vertex presentation because that means that a smaller diameter of the fetal head is presenting in the birth canal. So that means when it is vertex presentation, occiput anterior, the head is well flexed. Diba? So if it is well flexed and smaller diameter, lesser risk for the mother. Especially when you apply the forceps, nakita nyo mga anak, if you do not, makikita nyo naman pero it's like yung parang ice song na metal, pero malaki. If you apply that against on the fetal head, and inside the maternal vagina, di ba it will occupy space. So we want a smaller fetal head diameter presenting. So therefore, the other diameters like occiput posterior or occiput transverse, wherein the sagittal diameter of the sagittal suture of the fetus is in between the symphysis pubis and it's transversely located, di ba? Tapos the fontanelles are either on the right and the left maternal side. A larger fetal head diameter is actually presenting. In fact, when the fetus is fetal head is in the transverse position, that is not compatible with the vaginal delivery. So either you rotate it to a more favorable position to OP or OA, or you do cesarean section. Okay. So classification, kasi sinabi natin determinant of risk, yung fetal head station and degree of rotation, no? So we say it is an outlet delivery. Outlet, ibig sabihin, di ba? Inlet, outlet, midplane, and outlet, no? It is an outlet delivery if the fetal scalp can be seen at the introitus without separating the labia. So pag tingin yung ganun, nandun na yung fetal scalp, you do not need to separate the labia. 2, the fetal head is at or on the perineal floor. 3, when the fetal skull has reached the pelvic floor. So usually in terms of fetal head station, this is usually +4. No? Okay. Pag +5, halos crowning na yan, medyo mahirap nang i-apply. Konting iri na lang yan, bear down that the baby will be delivered. Aside from the fetal head station, for an outlet, the degree of rotation should be less than 45 degrees. Equal to or less than 45 degrees. So this means that if you are going to rotate the head, it should be from an oblique position to a direct occiput anterior or direct occiput posterior. So, hindi pwedeng occiput transverse, tas gagawin mo siyang occiput posterior. 90 degrees na yon. Hindi na yon outlet. Gets? By the way, your forceps the forceps have two uses. One is for traction, hihilahin niya. 2 is for rotation. But the vacuum only has one function, which is traction. We do not use the vacuum to rotate. Okay? So like this one, diba, nakikita niyo, that's the posterior fontanelle, no, near the symphysis pubis. So this is a left occiput anterior, no? So when you rotate that into a direct occiput anterior, that is less than 45 degrees. Okay? So when we say it is a low instrumental vaginal delivery, the fetal head, so the station, is at least +2 or +3. So equal to or more than +2. But not on the pelvic floor. Okay. And if you are going to rotate using the forceps, you can rotate up to more than 45 degrees. Okay? It is good to mention mid-instrumental delivery, but actually we do not do that anymore. We use the midplane to we used this one, so it's been above +2 yan, to rotate. We do not deliver, no. But in your book, naka-classify kasi siya. And of course, there's a high classification, which is sabihin unengaged fetal head. Kasi pag mid-instrumental delivery, the fetal head station is at 0 to +2. Or +1 to actually. However, we only rotate the head at this level. So again, this is it, no? Yan din yon, mga anak, no? So when we have ascertained, we already have the indication. Alam niyo, ay, pagod na yung mother. Like ako, I had a delivery yesterday. Meconium stained amniotic fluid, And the mother, almost 2 hours na kaming nagpapa-bear down. Multipara, so gravida 2. Sabi niya, Dok, pagod na po talaga ako. Nagpa-prepare na ako ng vacuum actually. So, bago ako sabi ko, okay, kailangan niya na talaga. I have an indication. Maternal exhaustion. At saka actually, konti na lang prolonged second stage of labor na siya. Kasi 'di ba pag multipara dapat 1 hour. Kaya lang naka-epidural. So 2 hours. Malapit na siya doon. So nagpalabas na ako ng instrument. After that, I know that I have an indication. We should ascertain the safety. So ano ba ang fetal head station and position? So fetal head station ko is at +3. No? +3 left occiput anterior. After that, I looked at the prerequisites. So these ones should all be met before applying. You have an indication, you have ascertained the risk. If you deem that a risk is acceptable and the benefit is more than the risk, then we look at the prerequisites. 1, you should have an engaged head. Obvious naman mga anak, kasi diba dun sa procedure, yung criteria, yung mid-pelvis nga 0 eh. So therefore, dapat engaged head. Right? 2, so when we're talking about the head, you should have a at least, mas maganda kung vertex presentation. No? Because we know that the head is flexed. Now, we can deliver a mentum anterior, a face presentation, through assisted vaginal delivery, but only MA, only mentum anterior. If the chin is at the sacrum, that is mentum posterior, that cannot be delivered vaginally. We proceed to cesarean section. Here, you can also see breech presentation. So, we do not apply the forceps or the vacuum on the breech, but on the aftercoming head. I think you already had breech, lecture in breech presentation. Tama ba? Breech delivery? Yeah, also. Diba, one way is to do aftercoming head, wherein we use the Piper's forceps. Engagement, then we should know the fetal head so that we know where to apply. And that is part and parcel of ascertaining the risk. Okay? Kasi pag occiput transverse, hindi mo siya ma-deliver vaginally without rotating it. Okay? 4, you should have ascertained that there is no cephalopelvic disproportion, which is the same goes with fetal weight estimation. Baka kaya prolonged second stage of labor, you have a macrosomic fetus or an LGA fetus, or you have a contracted pelvis. So you need to know what are the signs and symptoms of a contracted inlet, midplane, and outlet. What are the clinical indications for a contracted pelvis? And what are the findings of an adequate pelvis? Of course, if your patient is a multipara with previous vaginal births, if the fetal weight estimation of the current pregnancy is is the same or less than the previous pregnancies, then we know that there is no cephalopelvic disproportion. Lumabas yung mas malaki, di mas lalabas yung mas maliit or parehas. Tama? Okay. Of course, we cannot apply these instruments with an intact bag. It will slip. So, dapat ruptured bag. No? With an engaged head, dapat completely ruptured bag and completely dilated cervix. In fact, mga anak, we do not apply, that is why we only apply these instruments during the second stage of labor. Even if the head is at station +2 or +3, but you have a 9 centimeter cervical dilatation and an indication like a non-reassuring fetal heart rate pattern, we cannot apply the instrument kasi 9 cm pa lang kailangan complete dilatation. To decrease maternal morbidity, we should empty the maternal bladder with forceps extraction. As you know, the forceps is a space-occupying matter. You will add to the space if you do not empty the bladder. Also, this is also to negate for a while. Okay. And also to protect from bladder injuries. There should be no fetal coagulopathy and demineralization disorder. By the way, yung forceps and vacuum parehas ng classification. But the vacuum has a distinct prerequisite. Fetuses should be at least 34 weeks age of gestation. Kasi pag vacuum, a higher risk of intracranial hemorrhage. Pag vacuum than forceps. A preterm fetus will have a higher risk of hemorrhage, fetal intracranial hemorrhage. So pag pinagsama mo yon, tataas. No? So this was what I was telling you. You should have an experienced operator willing to abandon assisted vaginal delivery. No? The woman should know what is going to be done to her, the risk versus the benefit, and should consent. And lastly, you should provide adequate anesthesia, especially for forceps. No? For low to mid classification, low to mid assisted vaginal delivery, you should do regional analgesia, or if really, or a general anesthesia. But for outlet, pudendal block is sufficient. Pero of course, kung kunyari naka-epidural yung pasyente nyo, sufficient na yun, di ba? Pag naka-outlet. So, the forceps has 4 parts. So, the blade is the one that hugs or is the one that is applied on the fetal head. So, you have a cephalic curve and a pelvic curve, no? Yung cephalic curve, yan yung inside, the one that is in touch with the fetal head. And the pelvic curve, this is the one that is in touch with the maternal soft tissue. If you will see the Simpson forceps, no, is which is the forceps that we most commonly use, and our choice of forceps for newly parous women, the blade is fenestrated. Pag sinabi natin fenestrated, butas. Bakit? Kasi pag fenestrated blade, better grasp of the fetal head than the non-fenestrated or the pseudo-fenestrated blade. You have the shank, right? No? Kasi you have 2 blades. You have the lock and the handle. Okay? So, this is a non-fenestrated blade. No? So, this is used usually for multiparous women. Yung hindi na, kasi pag nulliparous, may molding, di ba? Okay, you will see the Kielland forceps. The Kielland forceps have a sliding lock, this one. Hindi siya katulad nito na English lock. Para siyang lock and key na nag-fit. Ito sliding lock and will have a minimal pelvic curve. No? We use the Kielland forceps to rotate the fetal head from an occiput posterior or occiput transverse position. Pag transverse, We either rotate it to occiput posterior or to occiput anterior. Okay? And ako, honestly, I have not seen a Barton's forceps and have not used one. And of course, we have the Piper's forceps. Ang difference niya with the Simpsons is that it has a longer shank to accommodate the fetal body. Okay, mamaya later, if you have time, I will show you a simulation. So if the fetal head occupies the oblique position, such as in left occiput anterior, the vertex or the head is rotated from LOA to direct occiput anterior before traction is applied. So, pwede yon, no? So, before traction, these are the safety checks. The forceps should not be forced into position. It should be glided, one blade at a time. So, if the left blade is the first one to be applied, the left hand will apply the left blade and the right hand will guide the left blade into position. Slid into the to the vagina to hug the the occipitomental diameter. Then the right blade is applied. Okay? Pag tinanggal mo siya, kung ano yung last mong in-apply, yun yung una mong tatanggalin. And then when you have placed them, we usually apply a gel on the pelvic curve, but not on the cephalic curve for ease. Then the forceps should lock with ease. We know that we have appropriately and correctly apply the blades when they lock with ease. So kapag hindi nyo malak, hindi yun, wag nyong i-force. Ibig sabihin, mali ang, it will be a nutcracker. No? And then, kasi OA or OP, di ba? Occiput anterior or occiput posterior. The sagittal suture should be palpated and it should lie vertically in the midline. If it is not vertical, transverse, ibig sabihin, occiput transverse ka, then you need to rotate that or you need to deliver by cesarean section. The blades should be equidistant from the sagittal and occipital sutures. And you should be able to insert a fingertip between the end of the fenestration and the fetal head, no? So we use our dominant hand to track or to pull, with the non-dominant hand to support. So usually, if forceps nakasupport sa perineal body, or if vacuum, then inside supporting the cup. Okay? Traction should be applied in coordination with uterine contractions and maternal expulsive efforts. So 3 powers will be coordinated to pull the fetus from the genital tract. So the instrument, uterine contractions, and maternal bearing down efforts. Therefore, this means that in between uterine contraction, so pag walang uterine contraction, there should be no traction applied. So ideal direction of the traction is downward first to maintain fetal head flexion, followed by upward rotation. Once we have seen the fetal scalp, then we can disarticulate. Occiput at the out into the vagina, then we can disarticulate. Okay, alam niyo na yan. So for posterior occiput posterior position, how can we deliver posterior occiput position? So occiput ito, di ba, mga anak? We can allow that to be spontaneously delivered, especially if our fetal weight estimation is quite small. This can be delivered vaginally spontaneously. or 2, we can rotate OP to OA through manually or with the use of the forceps. Okay? Or deliver directly occiput posterior with, katulad nito, dinideliver niya directly in occiput posterior position using the forceps or the vacuum. No? However, if you deliver with the direct occiput posterior, the traction should be downward and outward. So, sabay, pababa, palabas, no? Until the base of the nose can be seen under the symphysis pubis. So, nakalabas na yung forehead. Then, we can disarticulate. How about for occiput transverse positions? If you want to deliver vaginally, you can rotate. You should rotate because pag occiput transverse, hindi siya lalabas vaginally if you do not rotate to an OA or to an OP position. So you can rotate manually or through the use of your Kielland's forceps. However, mostly, pag occiput transverse position, these positions are associated with an anthropoid android pelvis, which are more common for women who undergoes yung talagang contracted pelvis. No? So that is why for occiput transverse, usually hindi yan bababa kasi kailangan fetal head station eh. Bago siya bumaba, mag-a-arrest na yan. So mostly we deliver them through cesarean section. How about for mentum anterior position? So pwede. So blade is also applied along the occipitomental diameter. Downward traction is applied until the chin can be seen under the symphysis pubis and then outward traction. Okay. Mind you, the position should always be ascertained. No? Okay. How about for vacuum? So, the vacuum, ang principle niyan is creating pressure suction on the fetal head, fetal scalp to deliver. No? So it is not a space-occupying instrument, not much, unlike the forceps. No? And flashed before you are the two types. We do not, actually I have not seen metal vacuum extractor. We have this both in FEU, but we mainly use the Kiwi. Ang difference lang nila, the Kiwi, so yung small, this is a hard plastic when you compare it to the Silastic cup na soft. So, of course, pag soft, less trauma to the fetal scalp. No? The learning curve for forceps for vacuum extraction is actually easier or shorter than forceps delivery. Mas madali mag-deliver through vacuum. So, as you can see, yan, meron siyang vacuum level indicator. We apply the cup on the fetal head along the flexion point that is near the posterior fontanelle. And then, once we are sure that there are no maternal tissue that is entrapped in between, then we start creating pressure up to the green line. No? So, button is ito, so pressure, no? So, para siyang removal or disarticulation. How do we disarticulate the vacuum? We push the button. So, I said kanina, we want to know the flexion point. The flexion point is located along the sagittal suture 3 centimeters from the posterior fontanelle. So as most cups are 6 centimeter in size, usually the end of the cup abuts the border of the posterior fontanelle. Okay? Why do we want application along the flexion point? Because this is the pivot point that maximizes traction. So when we place the cup there, it means that we can pull better, maintain the head at a flexed position, where in the smallest diameter of the fetal head will come out of the pelvic outlet. Okay? So, ganyan ang magiging itsura niya. So, nakikita niyo nasa border na siya ng posterior fontanelle. Kasi ito, kasi 6 to, di ba? To the flexion point. 3 centimeters na lang. So, we apply it nearer to the posterior fontanelle to keep it flexed. So, as I said, di ba kanina, 2 hands should be used. You use the dominant hand to track. And then the non-dominant hand, if for vacuum, is inside the vaginal canal supporting the cup. One, to make sure that there is no soft tissue maternal entrapment. Two, to make sure that there is no part of the cup that is being detached as you are doing traction. No? So, yan na. Kayo na bahala dyan. Increase the vacuum to. Okay. Keeping the cup in position. So, kayo na ba? Direction of traction. So, parang parehas lang din. Pero, downward and up. So, it follows a J-shaped curve. Kasi kung ito yung occiput, di ba occiput anterior, to keep it flexed, ibababa ninyo. Okay? Let me show you. Mamaya na lang. Complications. So, of course, we have 2 patients. In your book, there are 3 mentioned maternal morbidity. No? So, when we talk about morbidity for the mother and the fetus, the morbidity and the risk is not compared to spontaneous vaginal delivery, but compared to cesarean section. Because the alternative for failed spontaneous vaginal delivery and a failed assisted vaginal delivery is not going back to allowing the patient to spontaneously deliver, but performing cesarean section. So, most common, alam niyo na yun, syempre, lalo na with forceps, higher degree of lacerations. So, this is commonly associated with obstetric anal, yung oasis, obstetric anal sphincter injury, no? This is more common in 3rd, especially 4th degree perineal laceration. So, kayo nang bahala. Alam niyo na kung ano yun, di ba? There's a higher rate of cervical tear, especially if there is a cervical tissue entrapped in the forceps or in the vacuum. Higher vaginal wall lacerations with forceps. And of course, because especially with forceps, indicated episiotomy. Kasi nga, dahil may space occupying matter, we want the pelvis to be roomier. That is why we do episiotomy. So, how do we decrease risk for lacerations? 1, if you are going to perform an episiotomy, might as well do it in the mediolateral way. Diba? Usually, that is in the 7 to 8 o'clock position. Especially with forceps. No? With vacuum, pwede siguro median. No? But of course, di ba, the indication for cesarean section, for assisted vaginal delivery is para siyang cesarean. So, prolonged second stage, di ba? Baka mas malaki yung baby. Two, aside from performing a mediolateral episiotomy, we can disarticulate the forceps earlier and ask the mother to stop pushing while disarticulating. And three, for an oblique position, you can either rotate an OP to an OA, or of course, an occiput transverse to occiput anterior and not to occiput posterior. Okay? So, women who are delivered through forceps and vacuum, they have found, sabi nila, merong higher pelvic floor disorders. But in observational studies, they have seen that this is actually due to structural compromise. So there's a tear of the pelvic floor muscles or pelvic floor denervation. Kaya nagkakaroon ng pelvic organ prolapse. Now, women, so there is parang short-term urinary incontinence in women who are delivered through assisted vaginal delivery. And they have found that the incidence of urinary incontinence is more on women with a higher parity, and we know that vaginal delivery is a risk factor for urinary incontinence, not necessarily because of the application of forceps and vacuum. So anal incontinence is more common in women with a higher order episiotomy. So need not be because of the forceps. Basta nag-third or fourth degree perineal laceration ka, kahit spontaneous, that has a higher risk of anal incontinence. So for the baby, perinatal injury is more common in OVD than cesarean section, especially for scheduled cesarean section or women who are not in labor and are for cesarean section, no? So yung not in labor, no, lesser, versus NSD, no? So what are the perinatal injuries that are more common with vacuum extraction? So cephal, kasi nga diba because of the suction or pressure effect, cephal hematoma, yung mga hemorrhages, retinal hemorrhages, that can lead to neonatal jaundice. No? I'm sorry, but for clavicular fractures and more common for vacuum extraction, pero yung shoulder dystocia, halos parehas lang ang vacuum with forceps. For forceps, more common yung facial nerve injuries and brachial plexus injuries. Medyo self-explanatory naman, diba? Kasi di ba naka-apply yung forceps sa occipitomental diameter. So yung pressure. Of course, depressed skull fracture if the forceps is inappropriately applied and locked. And corneal abrasion. They have found that there is similar maternal and neonatal morbidities of rotational, isipin pag ni-rotate mo or inikot mo yung ulo, and second stage cesarean section. So similar, parehas ng risk if you do rotation and when you do emergency cesarean section for prolonged second stage of labor. So it's been prolonged labor. Compared to cesarean section, OVD has a higher rate of extracranial hematomas, cranial fractures, nerve injuries, retinal hemorrhage, and head lacerations. So, intracranial hemorrhage is similar with vacuum and forceps or CS during labor. So, basta nag-labor tapos na CS, halos parehas lang yan. Can you imagine na akala natin, porket hindi CS, vaginal naman eh. Pero same risk, no? Same risk. If we rotate, if we do operative vaginal delivery. Kaya dapat acceptable yung risk versus the benefit if we apply these two instruments. So regardless of delivery mode, rates of physical or cognitive impairments are similar. So isabihin yung long-term neonatal effect are very um, uplifting. So, wala silang nakikitang long-term effect. Of course, except if it is depressed skull fracture. So, let us define operative. Can you give me a few seconds? Okay, what is trial of operative vaginal delivery? It is an so when we decide to apply these instruments, dapat there should be at least a higher certainty that we will succeed. Hindi yung alam na alanganin tapos i-apply mo, alam mo na ngang hindi mo kayang gawin, no? So kasi you will be incurring more risk to the mother and the fetus. However, if it comes to the point that you cannot apply the forceps adequately, or the vacuum cannot be applied properly and keeps popping off, the procedure should be stopped. So, dapat wag mo nang ipilit yung forceps mo. Wag yung makakailang apply ka. No? That will lead to more maternal and neonatal morbidity. You can go both ways. One, you can try as vacuum assisted delivery, no? Kasi 'di ba mas madaling i-apply ang vacuum eh. Or the more appropriate is cesarean section should be performed, no? So maybe there are reasons why you cannot apply the forceps properly. As a general guide, progressive descent should accompany each attempt at traction. Without early and clear evidence of descent toward delivery, an alternative delivery approach should be adopted. So every time you pull, dapat bumababa yung station. Hindi same, no? And sequential instrumentation is not recommended. So sabihin, naka-vacuum ka, magpo-forceps ka. No! Pag failed vacuum, go to cesarean section. So these are the reasons for a higher rate of assisted vaginal delivery failure. Maternal obesity, an LGA fetus, if you have an OP position, and mid-cavity delivery. Yun yung mid, di ba? Sinabi natin. Kaya sabi ko sa inyo, di ba, usually hindi namin ginagawa yon. Because there is a higher chance of failure. So key points. The obstetric forceps and vacuum are useful instruments to expedite the delivery of a baby. It is crucial to identify the position and station of the fetal head before applying the instruments. All prerequisites should be met before applying the forceps and direct the traction appropriately. So, dapat alam nyo yung direction to pull. So, usually it is downward, no? Appropriate safety check should be performed after application and before traction. That is the reason for your other hand to know that there are no maternal and fetal parts that are entrapped. When performing operative vaginal delivery, you need to be aware of complications that may occur and must have the skills to manage these complications. Kaya nga skilled operator. If not, then proceed to cesarean section. After the delivery, you need to ensure that there is appropriate documentation and the woman has appropriate debriefing and aftercare. You should be able to explain to the patient the marks on her baby. No? Thank you. Do you have any questions? You want to see the ano? Gusto niyo bang makita mga anak yung vacuum video? Hindi na. Yes? Yes? Okay.
To the A. First, address the patient. Explain what you're doing and get consent. Second, make sure analgesia is adequate. Third, ask for help. Nurses to assist with the delivery and the baby, a pediatrician to assess and resuscitate the baby if needed, and surgery and anesthesiology if a cesarean section becomes necessary. Fourth element of the A is absence of contraindications, and its flip side, the presence of an indication. You need to make sure there is a clear documented indication. If you put the vacuum on without a clear indication, have a serious neonatal complication such as intracranial hemorrhage, you could be held responsible for that complication as you expose the baby to risk unnecessarily. 2 points to the B. First, check that your cervix is fully dilated and your membranes are ruptured. Now, I have seen older literature which discussed placing the vacuum on a less than fully dilated cervix, for example 9 centimeters. However, on the basis of case reports of fatal maternal hemorrhage due to cervical lacerations occurring when a vacuum was applied prior to full cervical dilation, this is no longer considered an option. And for students who may not have seen one, cervical lacerations can bleed very heavy. They can be very difficult to visualize if they're high up in the vaginal vault, and they're complicated to repair. 2, contractions adequate. You want to make sure contractions are adequate, and if not, consider some oxytocin. D, 2 elements to the D. First, determine position of the baby's head by palpation. Your posterior fontanelle is triangular shaped along your sagittal suture, and anterior fontanelle is a diamond shaped. By ultrasound, place the transducer just above the symphysis and look for the position of the orbits. 2, think dystocia. You want to anticipate a possible shoulder dystocia in these patients, and you may want to deliver the patient in McRoberts to try to prevent the shoulder dystocia. E. E stands for equipment. You're going to want to inspect your cup, the tubing, the pump. And just make a quick note, you've got 3 units here. You've got kilopascals. You have bar. And you also have millimeters of mercury. There you go. Now you want to do a test application just with your gloved hand. Place it on the palm and see if it'll hold a vacuum. Now this vacuum's a little older, so it won't hold, but this is how you do it in practice. Now actually briefly I'll mention 2 things. One, there's these 2 markings at 6 and 11 centimeters.
Yun natin yung ano, ayan na.
There's literature supporting its use, and it actually seems sort of counterintuitive because you're kind of pushing with one hand and pulling with the other one, and it just seems a bit self-defeating, but some people believe in it. F. F stands for flexion point. The flexion point is a location on the fetal skull where application of the vacuum will result in the most optimal fetal skull diameter presenting during the descent of the baby through the pelvis. The vacuum is on the flexion point when the cup is centered 3 centimeters anterior to the posterior fontanelle and directly over the.
Yan natin yung hinihila na niya.
Next, take out your measuring tape and measure 3 centimeters along the sagittal suture. No. They're pushing, but anyway, we'll move it right up into the green at this point. Okay. Now, once you get the vacuum applied, run your finger around the rim just to make sure that you don't have maternal tissues entrapped. Now we're on to the G. G stands for gentle traction. So once the woman starts to, don't pull until she's getting a contraction and pushing, but once the woman is starting to get a contraction and she's now pushing, now you can pull. Make sure when you're pulling, that you're up in the green area in the pressure gauge. So push, 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 push. Take a deep breath. Push, 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 push. Take a deep breath. Push, 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 push. Now she loses her contraction, so relax. Relax on the tubing.